Welcome to the Deficient Vegans podcast. This is episode 29. I'm the Muscle Deficient Vegan here with the Protein Deficient Vegan. Do you want to say hi?
Hi.
Hi, everybody. Today we're going to talk about how to support your kid if they wake up one morning and decide they want to be a vegan.
The horror.
Also, bonus round, we'll talk about how to be supportive of friends, family, and coworkers that are vegan as well. So a lot of vegans are probably familiar with how to deal with this already because, they're already vegan. And it's not very hard to support another vegan. But we're thinking this could be a good episode to send to your hopefully awesome and supportive friends, family, parents, etc. that have somebody in their family that's a vegan and they're trying to figure out how to deal with it. Or maybe they ask you directly, like, hey, do you have any ideas about how to deal with this person, this kid, whatever, going vegan in my life?
Or maybe you're the kid and you can send this to your parents.
That too, yeah.
And be like, listen up, bitches.
Also, we have our myth of the week this week. We're going to cover later in the episode, and that myth is that your workouts are only good if you feel really sore afterwards.
I think that's true, right?
We're going to find out.
More to come.
But first up, new news.
New news.
So the first piece of news here is pretty exciting. There's a vegan bodybuilder, Teray Washington, who's qualified for Mr. Olympia. So he's the first fully vegan bodybuilder to reach the Mr. Olympia competition.
Is that like the highest level?
Yeah, that's like the Super Bowl of bodybuilding. Well, it's more than that because it's global, but yeah. I think he just turned 50 this year, actually, so it's a pretty good 50th birthday present.
That's crazy. We were looking at pictures of him, and I'm shocked that he was 50.
He looks like 19.
He looks so young.
He's been vegan for, I think it said, just over 25 years, and he's competing in the men's physique category for age 40 plus.
Wow. Good luck.
Which also means he's competing against 40-year-olds as a 50-year-old.
Yeah. No, I think he can take it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he looks great.
He looks great.
Next up, there's a new kind of TVP, textured vegetable protein, from a Finnish startup called Happy Plant Protein.
Good stuff comes from Finland.
Yeah?
One of my favorite bands is a Finnish band.
What's their name?
The 69 Eyes.
69 Eyes.
Yeah.
Nice. What kind of music do they make?
I have no idea how to describe it. It's like definitely rock music.
Finnish is its own vibe.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
My friend from academic team in high school sent it to me once, and I love it. I listen to it all the time.
Awesome. So the new TVP they're making over there is made with fava beans.
Yeah.
And normal TVP is typically made with soybeans. So
Yep.
They also have a different process. This process is supposed to use only heat and pressure to extrude the protein versus like the chemical extraction, high water usage method.
Sounds like it'll be better for the environment then.
Yeah. And they also say it tastes good, which I hope they would say that if they're releasing a new food product.
I also think my food tastes good. Hopefully it comes to the U.S. so we can taste it and let you know.
Yeah, that'd be great. Don't hide all the good stuff over there in Finland.
We want fava bean TVP.
Yeah. Fava bean tofu is actually pretty popular online.
I still have not been able to find it near us.
Yeah.
I look like weekly. I just want to try it once.
One day we'll find it. Then in some sadder news, 4 of our beloved Chicago restaurants have closed down in the last couple weeks.
They just keep posting posts and saying they're closing. Stop posting your posts. We don't want you to close.
Yeah. The ones that have closed are Kitchen 17, which is a fully vegan deep dish pizzeria place. There was also Native Foods, which is kind of like a burger and fries joint. They have a couple other locations in other states, so it's a little bit of a chain, but they did have to close the Chicago location. And then we've also got Chicago Diner. They had 2 locations in Chicago, so they had to close, I think, the newer one and keep only their older location.
No, they're like a fully vegetarian restaurant, but I would say 90% of their menu is vegan.
And they've been around for a couple of decades.
Yeah, they're one of the oldest in the area.
And then also Chicago Raw closed down in Chicago.
Yeah, I think the Chicago Raw is like the one we haven't tried, but the other 3 were in our top 10 easily.
Yeah, and I know the raw vegan food is a pretty popular subsection of vegan diets, so I'm sure a lot of people were sad about that one as well.
So I think the takeaway here is support your vegan businesses. You never know when they're on the verge of closing.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't let them close. Keep them alive.
Well, hopefully that's the last closure we see for a while.
It better be.
All right, so now let's get into the main topic. Let's say one day the worst thing that could possibly happen happens, and your kid wakes up and says they don't want to eat meat anymore. So we're going to be talking a lot about the vegan diet and food specifically in this episode, but if your kid has decided they're going vegan, that's actually an entire animal harm reduction decision. So it's going to extend to things outside of food, like they're not going to use leather. They might need to have different shoes that don't have leather in them, no wool, things like that. But we're just going to focus on food here because that is where 95% of the conflict and discussion comes in when somebody decides to go vegan. But you should just be aware that it does extend beyond the food.
Yeah.
We see a lot of Reddit posts about this, actually, both from the perspective of the parents who are like, my kid's a vegan now, and from the perspective of the kids who are like in the house and they're like, I want to be a vegan, but I can't get my parents to get on board and make food for me. So what do I do? It's a very common issue, discussion point, and point of conflict, really.
This is a real thing how it happens, because this is what happened to my parents when I was 12. I just came home from school one day, basically. I had a history teacher that was talking about how he was in Peace Corps and he did a stint in Nepal, and that whole time he was vegetarian. And before that, I had never heard the term vegetarian. So I went home and I sat with that and I was like, wait, you don't have to eat animals? That is a crazy thought. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I can't eat animals anymore. And it was you can't talk me out of it. You couldn't have talked me out of it when I was 12. I was very headstrong about this.
It's hard to unring that bell. Really.
Oh yeah. I was so sure, but I was nervous to tell my parents, and I remember I wrote I wrote them a note. And the gist of the note was that cows also have friends and moms and dads and brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles, and I could not be a part of eating those friends and family members. And that's what my note said, and I said I wasn't eating meat anymore. And yeah, so I'm sure that came as a shock to my parents. And now that I'm an adult, I see now that must have been what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, your kid just comes home and they're like, I'm not eating this anymore. And
kind
they
of
feel
overnight, really.
Yeah, and they feel really strongly about it. So
yeah.
I think this is an interesting topic because there's two sides of it. The kid's for sure gonna want to do what they say they're doing, and you as a parent have to figure out how to deal with all these other pieces of the puzzle.
Right. And it's not really going to be super productive for the parents to actively fight against it, because then you're going to have resentment on top of this issue you're trying to deal with.
Oh, yeah. The resentment's going to be bad. Being not supportive is not the way to go.
Yeah.
They're not going to bend the knee, if you will.
Especially as a rebellious teenager, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're going to fight you harder. Yeah. Remember how you tell your kid, don't date that boy, he's a bad boy, and then they just keep doing it? Yeah, so it's like that, but there are morals involved.
Let's discuss why you, as a parent, might be concerned or worried or stressed, and how we can counter some of the concerns that you might have.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to list out some of the talking points we've seen and heard over the years, and then we'll go through each of them in a little more detail.
Yeah.
So you might be concerned that it's not healthy or sustainable. Maybe you have some concerns around protein or iron or calcium, getting nutrients in general, becoming malnourished, a lot of health-related things. That can also tie into, especially if you have a kid that's into sports, maybe you'll be extra concerned about that kind of thing, because that requires a little more diligence with nutrition a lot of the time.
Yeah. There's also the aspect of, is this an eating disorder? Because you see a lot of things online about how vegans are frail and skinny and stuff, and you might be thinking this is eating disorder related. So we're going to talk through that.
Yeah. Next point is, how are you going to hang out with your friends? If you have school activities or pizza parties, birthday parties, are the other kids going to make fun of this kid? Or are they going to even have food to eat when they go to these social events? So just some discussion around the social aspects of it as a kid. Also, for the parents, how am I going to cook 2 separate meals? That's going to take more time, more ingredients, things like that.
Yeah. Or I don't even know how to cook vegan meals. Where do I start with that?
Right. And even if I do figure it out, the ingredients are way more expensive, right? That's what I keep hearing online.
Yeah. And then, is this a phase? Is this an internet trend? Did they see something online that made them do this and they don't really believe in it? Maybe it's not going to last.
Or you think maybe, the kid's just a picky eater. They don't really care about this thing. They just want to have an excuse for not eating these foods they don't like.
Yeah. Another common one I've seen is the child's being selfish because now their family members are going to have to cater to them. And what about family traditions? What about all of our favorite family meals? And what about holidays and our normal restaurants?
And then another one that's not really related to the kid per se is sometimes the parents feel like they're going to be judged by other parents.
Yeah.
How could you let your kid be a vegan? You're a bad parent. Things like that.
Another thing is, if you're the parent, is your kid now judging the rest of the family? And is this going to create conflict in your household?
Right. And then another one, is this a decision maybe you feel like the kid's too young to make?
Yeah.
Should they be making a decision like this young? So at the end of the day, these are all valid concerns if they're concerns that you're having. But most kids, especially at a young age, are going vegan for like moral and ethical reasons.
Yep.
So it is important to support and try to make it work, because you're going to be forcing your kid to do something they're like morally objected to, which can feel like actual torture to some kids.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, if you're a kid and you think that eating cows is morally wrong, like you feel like I can't possibly do that because, blood is on my hands, or however you feel, and then your parents making you continue eating that, it's not great for your mental health, for sure. Like, I know how I feel if I accidentally get dairied or something. I feel really shitty about that. Like, yeah. I accidentally ate dairy. Like, someone accidentally fed me dairy. Yeah. I don't know.
Right. So now let's work through each one of those concerns individually in a little more detail. So the first one being that you might think it's not healthy or sustainable to be a vegan.
Yeah. And this one is pretty easily debunked. There are some things that you should pay more attention to, but if you just go and look out there are tons of vegan athletes.
Yeah.
Like the vegan bodybuilder we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
You can definitely do this in a healthy way and stay fit and strong and grow big.
Yeah. The most important thing is that you're still getting all the nutrients. There aren't special nutrients in meat and dairy and eggs. The only thing you almost literally can't get with vegan whole food is vitamin B12.
Yeah.
So we want to stay on top of that one. But other than that, all of those nutrients you might have been getting from animal products are also in whole food vegan diets.
Yeah. And the thing with B12 is I've seen a couple people not like the concept of needing to supplement that, but B12 is being supplemented into animal products. You're getting B12 through supplements animals are getting. And then also there are some B12 ingredients you could be using, like nutritional yeast. They make one that's fortified with vitamin B12, and there's some other vegan cheeses as well.
That's true. And it's not like a totally stupid objection for a parent to have, because, you are concerned about your kid's health.
Yeah.
You're not really familiar with this diet. You've heard a lot of things, I'm sure, and you just want to make sure you're doing the right thing.
Oh, yeah. I think this is like the most natural concern you would have as a parent. You just don't want your kid to be malnourished, you know?
Yeah. It's like your one job.
Yeah, your one job is to make sure your kid doesn't die. So, like, I can see how this would be something you'd be worried about.
Yeah. And so on the eating disorder, malnourished in general side, this isn't even a vegan specific problem.
Yeah.
So if it's something you're concerned about, maybe just keep an eye on what your kid is eating, make sure it seems like enough food. But this is a concern for parents of people who aren't vegan all the time.
Right. Yeah. This is definitely not a vegan specific thing. If you see your kid is like restricting foods, not really based on ethics, and they're just trying to pull more and more foods out of their diet, that might be something to watch, but this definitely isn't like a vegan specific thing.
No. So the next one is, how are you going to hang out with your friends? So talk about the social aspect a little bit. If your kids have friends that are going to be actually like malicious or evil towards them for this, maybe they're not great friends. And there's a difference, because kids with friends, especially boys, I don't know, that's what I can speak from my experience.
Yeah.
Like they're probably going to razz them a little bit for being vegan or whatever, but it's not going to be like they're actually trying to make you feel bad about yourself, or they're actually malicious towards you. So, I mean, that's normal and fine. But if somebody's like actually making fun of the kid, making them feel bad all the time, probably not really great friends for your kid anyway.
Yeah. As a vegetarian child, I didn't really have too many friends that were like hostile or like super mean. I mean, they definitely made like jokes about PETA equals people eating tasty animals. I heard that one. Like, you might have even made that one when we were high school. I don't know.
I don't think I made that one. I have heard that one. I don't think it's I don't know.
But like, they weren't like nasty and mean about it, you know?
Yeah. On the level of just making sure the social situation has food for them to eat, I think that you can handle that kind of between the parents. So you can call the other kids' parents or wherever this social situation is going to happen and say, hey, Timmy's coming over and he's a vegan now. So can we maybe figure out something that will make him feel included? I can even send something with him. It makes sense, you know?
Yeah. Same with like school stuff, you know? While you don't want to put more on the teachers, it's still probably a good idea to let them know in case they're doing any food-related activities, and you can bring like vegan cupcakes or something.
Yeah, for sure. So the next one is going to be, how am I going to cook 2 separate meals?
Yeah.
Maybe the added time, added ingredients, added lack of knowledge on how to cook vegan food.
Absolutely. I think this is another really valid concern. There are like a lot of things you could do. You could meal prep a couple of servings for your kid for like a vegan-specific meal that they can heat up throughout the week. You could do meatless Mondays for the whole family, or any meatless day in days ending with DAY.
Yeah. Preferably all of them.
Yeah.
You can make some meals that can easily be kind of flexed to include the vegan options.
Yeah, like tacos, but yeah, we're going to go over some dishes that might work for this at the end.
And then the next one, kind of closely related, I don't know how to cook vegan meals in general.
Which honestly is true for anyone that is just going vegan. So while it's a valid concern, it should probably not be a reason to not let your kid go vegan.
Right.
There's a ton of free food blogs and information online, and then you could also go to the library and get a cookbook.
Yeah. You also didn't know how to boil water at some point in your life. You have to learn things.
I know.
You don't get to stop learning just because you're an adult, unfortunately.
So sad.
But yeah, cookbooks at the library, Google, send everybody to the proteindeficientvegan.com blog.
Social media is another really good place.
Yeah,
Like a lot of people put their recipes on Instagram or TikTok in like an easily watchable format.
Ideally, you could even turn this into an activity where you and the kid kind of learn the recipes together, right? So they'll know how to cook that stuff when they end up having to move out of the house, and you learn more about it and have some bonding time.
Yeah, and maybe they'll save you some time, or maybe they'll end up on MasterChef Junior.
Yeah, there you go. It was all worth it. The next concern you might have is that it's going to be way more expensive to have vegan food as opposed to non-vegan food.
Yeah, and I think this comes from just like, man, I see a lot of stuff on the internet that being a vegan is more expensive than eating meat. And it's not true for a few reasons, but I think a lot of this argument is based on people going in the freezer section and they look at the meat alternatives and the dairy alternatives and stuff and they see that they're kind of expensive.
Yeah.
But man, if you're eating a whole food plant-based diet, it's actually quite cheap.
Like at restaurants and like you were saying, packaged food, the vegan alternative option is usually a little more expensive.
Yeah.
But as far as actual whole food and ingredients, it's usually a lot cheaper.
Oh, yeah. Plus, like, you have to think also you're going to be buying less of the omnivore food. You know, whatever your kid was eating, you're not buying that amount of food for the omnivore food. So you just use that for vegan food, you know?
Yeah, so you'll be looking for things like tofu, TVP, seitan, beans, lentils. All those things are extremely cheap for the amount of food you get. You still would probably want to buy some like vegan cheese sometime, though, because
you don't want to deprive of them good things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, convenience foods are always going to be more expensive. So if you're on a budget, look for more of the whole food plant-based stuff. We actually have a database that you can sort by cost effectiveness.
Yeah. And more whole food is probably a good idea for the whole family in general, but that's a different conversation.
That's true.
So, the next concern might be it's just a phase. Is this like an internet trend my kid is going through or something that's like they're going to be done with in a couple months?
Yeah. And, you know, this could be true. I'm sure that a lot of kids have a phase and maybe they try vegetarian or veganism for a couple months and then they go back. But like, what if it's not a phase? Don't you want to be supportive of them?
Right.
Especially if it ends up not being a phase. Don't you want to feel like you supported them through the beginning of their journey, you know, so you can feel good about it and look back on it.
Right. Plus, if it is a phase, the fastest way to get them out of it is probably to get super on board because teenagers really don't like it when their parents start to think something is super cool.
That's
so
true.
You just turn into like a super vegan parent for a couple weeks and maybe the kid will be like, no, not for me.
Not for me. I was trying to be cool and rebellious.
No, obviously, we don't want people to not go vegan. We're just trying to trick you into supporting your vegan kid.
But yeah, and I think it just in general, like if your kid says like, hey, I believe in this, I don't want to eat meat anymore, I just think the good response would be like, I accept that you believe this and I support whatever you want to do in this regard. You know, like to assume they're coming from like not the right reasons or like they don't really believe what they're saying, I think is a little unfair.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, because you just never know why someone's doing anything. So like just assume the best, especially when it's your kid.
Another thing you might be thinking is that, oh, my kid's not really vegan. They don't really believe in this stuff. They're just a picky eater and they don't want to eat this stuff anymore.
Man, this is probably not true.
Yeah.
Because I know when I went vegetarian, I gave up a lot of my favorite foods.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know this about picky eaters, but they don't give up foods they like.
Yeah.
So most kids that are like giving up all of these things that like ostracize them a little bit to their friends and are like their favorite foods probably have a pretty strong moral reason that they're doing it.
Yes, being vegan or vegetarian as a kid is definitely hard mode for being a kid. You know, like you're having to miss out on like pizza parties and like school things and maybe friend stuff, you know? So like if they're saying they're doing it, it's probably not because they don't want to eat certain stuff. It's probably because they actually believe in, you know, the moral and ethical reasons.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't assume your kid's a picky eater.
The next thing you might be thinking is that the kid is being selfish because now other family members will have to cater to them and other social events will have to cater to them.
Yeah, I totally get how this can be an awkward conversation.
Yeah, especially in regards to family traditions, holidays, eating at restaurants. Those things are probably the most awkward settings to be in, especially as a new vegan.
Yeah, and I know how it feels a little extra awkward because, like, they're a child, so you're going to have to advocate for your child with your other family members and stuff on, like, what food options need to be available for your kid. And those can be really uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah. I know even as an adult, when I went vegan,
Yeah.
this was like one thing I was concerned with. How will I deal with this? Was when we go for the holidays, my family has like a really traditional set of foods they make for, breakfast and stuff. And it's like some of my favorite stuff growing up. And so now I've got to tell my parents like, oh yeah, I don't eat that anymore. I know you really like making it and I know I really like it. And, it's just like something you have to get over like, oh, well, that's not really a thing anymore. So sorry about that.
I think that's like the hardest part is feeling like you're making someone sad.
Yeah.
Like, especially there are a lot of people that cook food and it's like their way of showing love. So I think especially with your mom, like she cooks stuff that she knows you love that you've been eating since you were a kid. So that feels really hard to be like, I can't eat this thing that you've been making me for decades.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot harder to, at least for me, to make people feel sad than it is to make them mad. I don't really
me too. Yeah, and I mean, it also just feels uncomfortable inconveniencing people, especially like more distant family members that maybe you're only gathering with a couple times a year. Yeah, and then, like the other thing is a lot of recipes can be veganized too. Like my dad, he always made these scallop potatoes that his dad made, and then when I went vegetarian, he always had ham on them, so he would make me a little section that didn't have ham. But then as I went vegan, it was one of the first things I veganized because I wanted to experience that at the holiday. So like you can definitely veganize stuff, and I think you can do it pretty well. There's a lot of cheese alternatives that you can use and meat alternatives. Like it's not too hard to veganize your favorite recipes anymore.
Yeah. One big thing is like communication ahead of time too. Like you don't, as a new vegan especially, this is usually only like for the first year, maybe the second year is a reminder, but you don't want to just show up after, not being around your family in a while and be like, oh, hey, I'm vegan now. And everybody's already made all the food and all that stuff. So communicate ahead of time, a couple months leading into it, be like, hey, I'm trying this vegan thing out. And then be like, oh, I'm totally vegan now. Like, oh, hey, what's going to be the food option?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a couple months is right because people are planning their like holiday menus out months in advance. So like, having a couple of months leading into it, knowing that we're going to need some vegan options. And then like you as the parent can also bring some vegan options to like family gatherings or potlucks or like wherever your vegan child's going to be. Yeah.
And as far as restaurants go, you might end up just having to try some new restaurants, but that can be fun too. Recommend downloading the Happy Cow app. Find some vegan, vegetarian restaurants around there.
Oh, yeah. You probably have some hidden gems in your city that you don't even know about it because you've never looked at it for that kind of thing. We found a bunch when we downloaded Happy Cow.
Yeah. In places we didn't expect.
Oh, I know. It's like, oh, there's a secret vegan food truck in the area. Okay.
There's not even a non-vegan food truck in
I know.
The next one is the fear of the parents being judged by other parents. So my take on this is that you wouldn't let anybody tell you how to raise your kid in any other aspect of their life. So why would you like let them comment on this particular food thing?
Yeah. I think, this one, my parents were really good about just letting me they weren't really worried about what other people thought of how they were raising me as like the big stuff, right? Like I wasn't like a troublemaker. Like I was like, I did good in school, but like the other stuff of like self-expression, they didn't really care about. So they never had this hang up for me going vegetarian or wearing all black clothing.
Yeah. The next one is the kid judging the rest of your family. So this is kind of a reverse thing. Is it making you feel bad that your kid went vegan because they think maybe you're a bad person for not going vegan? Like that kind of thing.
Or like, is it going to create family drama?
Right.
At the dinner table every meal.
Yeah. Preventing your kid from being vegan, if it's something you really want to do, is only going to make that worse. Like if you're worried about resentment you're probably not going to want to push back, because that's going to create it for sure.
Absolutely. Like, if you're worried about them judging you for eating meat while actively forcing them to eat meat, guess what? They're judging you harder.
Yeah, that's good.
That's going to create conflict at every single meal. I guarantee you.
Yeah. So if that's a concern you have, I recommend, talking to your kid. Let them talk to you about it, teach you things, try to understand where they're coming from. I mean, this obviously works for a lot of things in life.
Oh, sure.
It also works for this. Maybe try a couple of the dinners meatless every week, so you can get an understanding of, okay, this is kind of how this food works. And you understand, like, oh, hey, a salad didn't keep me full. Salad's not a real option.
That is a great point. I think understanding where your kids are coming from, why they want to do the thing, and then like also experiencing it firsthand goes a long way into like understanding this, and it'll make your kid feel like you care and you're trying to be understanding. And then at the end of the day, you might end up going vegan, because I've actually seen a lot of Reddit posts about parents whose kid went vegan first and then they followed. Maybe not immediately, but like years, months later.
Yeah.
They just got introduced to it. They learned about why people are vegan, and they went vegan.
We also have a friend of ours who's kind of in that same boat. He was telling us his daughters went vegan, and then he just basically the whole family ended up eating a lot less meat.
Oh my God. Hearing him talk about it made me feel like, I feel like he does it the exact way I think parents should do it. I think he had one daughter that went vegetarian and one that went vegan, and immediately he went and found cookbooks, and he went and found recipes, and he started cooking with them in the kitchen and making them like vegan meals, and he's excited about it, and he talks about it with other people, and it was very sweet.
Yeah. And then the last point was, like, are the kids making a decision that they're too young for? Is this something you're concerned about? I think for this one, this really isn't a big concern, because this is not like a decision that can't be reversed or something that's harmful.
Yeah.
Like, if this is something, when you say you think they're too young for it, that implies that you think if they got older, they wouldn't make the same decision. But in the case of something like veganism, they can just decide that they were wrong at any point.
Yeah. I think as long as their nutrition is in check and they're getting like enough protein and iron and all of the things that they need to grow up, like there's like no danger in doing this. And I always look at this concern a little bit differently, because I don't think there's any danger or harm in going vegan young, because you can definitely hit your nutrition. I always think of it as like, are you really worried about them being too young to be vegan, or are you worried about young people shouldn't make decisions that impact me as a parent? You know what I mean? Like, are they too young to know what they really want, and why is this going to cause all of these inconveniences in my life just because they're a 10-year-old and they want to stop eating meat?
Yeah.
That's like where I think the root of this is coming from, which, like, man, I don't know. When I was 12 and I decided to stop eating meat, I was so freaking sure of it. And like, I think it went back to all of the Disney movies I had watched as a kid, where like animals are talking, and like you're grieving over Bambi's mom, or like you're cheering for Wilbur to not get eaten, as in Charlotte's Web, like that kind of stuff like plants seeds when you're young. And so like for a kid to have an aha moment where they want to be empathetic towards animal, I don't think you should stomp on that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, do not kill that spark. Yeah, I just feel like it's along the lines of like, are you ever too young to care for someone or something? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I know it can be kind of hard to wrap your head around a new moral belief that you don't hold, just because that's kind of how our brains work. But, that's the whole point of supporting somebody. You don't have to necessarily agree with their position to support them and understand it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So those are a lot of the concerns that we see people have when they have these discussions. So now we can talk about some of the actionable takeaways from what we've talked about here, and like things you can do directly to support your vegan kid in this scenario. So first and foremost, understand what the vegan protein sources are, and like how vegans get calcium and iron and things like that, just so you can make sure that your kid is healthy, because again, that's going to be a number one concern for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think, especially if you're an adult and you're going vegan, you're controlling your diet. But as a kid, your parents are kind of controlling your diet, because you're not shopping for food. You're mostly not preparing food. So like you're eating whatever your parents put in front of you. So if you're a parent of a vegan child, you need to make sure they're getting their protein and their vitamins and nutrients. Like, that's kind of on you.
Yeah. I see a lot of posts in the like vegan online communities, and it's like a kid who's gone vegan and they can't get their parents to get on board, and they're very distraught about like, I need to be allowed to stop eating animal products.
Yeah.
So their parents are just making them meat or whatever, and then it's a conflict when they say, I don't want to eat that, because their parents come back with a lot of these objections that we've had.
Yeah. So I think this brings up an interesting point, though, because like if your kid is like hell bent on going vegan, they are just going to stop eating they're going to hunger strike you on the things they don't want to eat. And then you might end up with like a disordered eating situation because they don't have enough food.
Yeah.
So like it is vitally important that you make sure your kid has food they can eat.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So some of the options here for protein are tofu, TVP, seitan, lentils, beans, tempeh, and even like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich is a good lunch option.
Dude, that was always my lunch option in like middle school and high school because calorically dense and it has protein.
Yeah. A lot of the times, especially in our content, when we're talking about protein, we're talking about like high protein diets for fitness and bodybuilding. But in these conversations, we're just talking about making sure the kid still has their proper nutrition. And peanut butter has plenty of protein for that kind of environment.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is like not talking about a high protein diet. This is just enough protein as a child. Now, if your kid is like into sports, you might want to consider doing more of the protein dense food versus relying on nut butters and stuff.
Yeah. Plus, you're probably going to want to get familiar with tofu anyway because it's really versatile and you can put it in a lot of dishes pretty easily.
Oh, yeah. Fun fact, my mom and I, one time, we tried making tofu when I was like 13, but back then there weren't like thousands of vegan food blogs and like we didn't even look anything up. We didn't look up a cookbook or how to do it or anything. We were just like, it's tofu. We'll treat it like chicken. And I just remember we cut it up into little chunks. We rolled it around in breadcrumbs and then we just tossed it in the oven. And we didn't press it. And it was disgusting. It was like hot, wet little blobs of disgustingness. And we couldn't even eat it. And then I didn't eat tofu again until I was 20.
Yeah, I think I tried tofu once. I was not a vegetarian or anything at that point. I was just curious, like, oh, what's tofu? Is it good? And it was kind of the same. It was like some really poorly prepared cubes of tofu. And I was like, okay, well, no, I'm not eating that anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
But now I eat it every day and in a bunch of different ways. I don't know. So, yeah.
So I think like looking up food blogs and stuff would be helpful, you know, because a lot of the stuff you're not going to know how to cook. A lot of the protein options specifically, you probably won't know what to do with those. But like aside from the whole food ones, like if you're in a pinch, like say your kid wants to go vegan tomorrow and you're trying to support that immediately, there are a lot of good meat alternatives that are also pack in protein. I think I pretty much survived my childhood on vegan chicken nuggets, actually.
The vegan chicken nuggets and like the Impossible burgers and that kind of stuff, it's like probably it's definitely not the most cost effective, but it's the easiest drop in for like the way you've already been used to making food.
Yeah, and it won't take you a lot of time and effort either.
And I wouldn't necessarily consider it health food, but if we're talking about replacing old non-vegan chicken nuggets with chicken nuggets, like we're not really changing much health-wise. We're just giving the vegan options. Also, iron, a good way to get iron. TVP and tofu have quite a bit of iron.
Yeah, this one's interesting because you can be iron deficient on an omnivore or vegetarian diet pretty easily too.
Especially if you're not eating enough food.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Next up, calcium. You can do like a soy milk or an oat milk. Those are fortified with calcium to make them basically equivalent to a dairy milk in the calcium department.
Yeah, broccoli and tofu are also good options. I think just on the iron and calcium thing in general, because a lot of your stuff was relying on like meat for iron, dairy for calcium, it's just good to touch base and make sure you are getting foods that have iron and calcium because sometimes those won't even be in multivitamins.
Yeah. And speaking of multivitamins, I would recommend if you're just starting a vegan diet, especially as a kid that doesn't know much about food or cooking, or even a parent that doesn't know much about vegan food and cooking, I'd say just get a cheap multivitamin and be on it for a while. You won't need that for the rest of your life. Vegans don't really need a multivitamin, but until you figure out how food works, it's a good insurance policy.
And there's not a whole lot of downside to just taking one.
Wasting a little bit of money, your pee turns yellow.
It's fine. But then you know you're covered.
Right, exactly. The one you do need is vitamin B12.
Yeah.
So even if you're not taking a multivitamin, vegans do need to take a vitamin B12 supplement, preferably daily. I mean, it depends on the dose. You can do whatever, but I would recommend a daily vitamin B12 supplement.
Unless you're eating a lot of fortified nutritional yeast, or a lot of the vegan cheeses will have, they're fortified with B12 as well.
Yeah. I'd probably still take the supplement anyway.
Yeah, I think it's just, plus I think B12 is one of those vitamins that if you have excess, you just pee it out. So there's really not a whole lot of downside of there's really no danger of overdosing.
Yeah, it's extremely unlikely to overdose with B12 even. The best thing to do is just make sure they're getting enough food in general, right? So if you're getting enough food in general, unless it's entirely junk food, you're almost always getting enough nutrients, especially on a vegan diet. So you can help track this for a couple of weeks at least. When they first start, maybe you guys use MyFitnessPal together, or you just punch in MyFitnessPal for all the stuff they want to make if they don't want anything to do with it. And you can just see, okay, I have a good general idea for their calories, their macronutrients, their micronutrients. And again, you don't have to do this long term. Just do it until you feel like you have a good understanding of how it all pieces together.
Yeah. And just, I think another thing, if you're worried about them eating enough, ask them regularly if they're hungry. I mean, I know when I was vegetarian, a lot of my dinners were like side dishes of what everyone else was having, and then like some vegan chicken nuggets, but sometimes it's just not as filling as like the omnivore alternative, so you might be more hungry. Like you might not be getting as many calories as you think, even if it looks like the same volume on the plate, because a lot of the vegan options are a little less calorie dense. Yeah. So I think just touching base and making sure they're not hungry all the time is also a good option.
Yeah, definitely. And then while we're talking about the food, some of the takeaways here for how to deal with the additional time it might make to prepare the vegan food options. So the easiest one is probably to cook meals that can easily be either vegan or non-vegan.
Yeah. And the way I look at this, it would be like cooking the base meal and then cooking the meat and vegan protein source separately from it, and then just having everyone add whatever they're eating into it. Probably the easiest one is chili. Just make a huge pot of it, beans only. That's really easy to make vegan. And then if you're going to do a meat option, cook that separately from your vegan stuff. And then you could add in some additional protein with tofu. It's really easy to just crumble that up and season it, toss it in a pan in the oven, costs you no extra time.
Yeah. And this one, you do have a recipe that has that tofu on there.
Yep.
In case somebody listening to this wants a very specific idea.
Yep. It is called chili. Yeah. High protein vegan chili.
Yep.
Another good one is taco night. I think tacos are one of the easier ones to do. You could season some TVP and cook it in a pan separately from whatever you're doing with beef or what have you. Or you could, again, toss some seasoned crumbled tofu in the oven, or you could even like slice tofu and toss it in seasoning and throw it in the oven. I have a easy recipe for a 1-sheet pan tofu fajitas, so that would be maybe a good option. At least it gets, your vegan protein source out of the way, and it doesn't really change whatever you're doing omnivore-wise, and it doesn't add a whole lot of time. You're basically just cutting tofu, tossing it, seasoning, chuck it in the oven.
Yeah, and tacos are typically like a kind of taco bar, choose-your-own-adventure situation.
Oh, exactly.
Anyway, so.
And then other people in the family can try tofu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The good thing about tacos is if you put enough hot sauce on it, you can't tell what kind of meat the protein's in there anyway.
Oh my God. Every time I think of hot sauce, I think of the first time my little brother tried hot sauce. He was 6, okay? And we were having taco night, and my dad put hot sauce on his taco because he asked for it.
Okay.
And he took one bite, and then he ran in circles in the kitchen for like 5 minutes straight and then just laid on the floor.
Wow.
It was like the funniest thing I've ever seen.
That's pretty funny. Next one is you can do pasta. So cook the pasta. Don't put the meat in the pasta.
Yeah.
And then you can just, again, make the meat and the maybe tofu or whatever your option is on the side. And then you just have your plate of pasta and you put your protein on top of it.
Yeah, I think this works really well for spaghetti. Would be an easy one. Most spaghetti sauces are naturally vegan, and then you add your meat to it. But in this case, you could just do that separately and then maybe do the crumbled tofu option again, or like TVP to add some protein to it. I know this is like my family's favorite because every time we go over to my family's house, my dad does this pasta. It's basically like pasta. But then he will saute black olives and tomatoes, like those little cherry tomatoes.
Yeah.
And mushrooms and olive oil and stuff. And it's like really delicious. And we just plop that on top of our pasta with like extra sauteed mushrooms.
Yeah.
And then I think they do shrimp separately, but it's cooked separately because he knows I'm very weird about that, obviously. But yeah, it's actually it's like my favorite thing when we go over there. I know we're having it and I'm always excited. He even gets us vegan Parmesan. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's vegan ice cream.
Sometimes, yes, they like oat ice cream now.
Yeah.
Oat milk ice cream.
Yeah.
It's like their favorite.
Little influences over time.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I actually like oat ice cream better than dairy ice cream now too. And I think there are a lot of little things like that where the vegan alternative is just objectively better and nobody ever tried it and they didn't know.
The oat milk ice cream is so creamy.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah. Also, burgers, hot dogs, again, easy kind of drop in. You can get some Impossible hot dogs, Impossible burger patties. Actually, we were talking about spaghetti. Impossible also makes meatballs.
That's true.
So,
yep. They also make ground meat.
Yeah.
So
again, not like health food, but protein.
Yeah, if you're already doing burgers.
Easy swap. Yeah, exactly. Right. There's a lot of discussion about Impossible is not a healthy food. It's like, okay, it's a burger replacement. What
burgers aren't really a healthy food, guys. So
yeah,
some of these meat alternative ones are like one of the easiest things that you could do. It really adds no time.
Also, you can make all the sides vegan and just have like meat alternatives in the freezer to throw together for easy nights. So.
Yeah, this is a good option. This is kind of what I did as a kid. They would just make sure the sides were something I could eat, and then I ate a lot of like vegan chicken nuggets, vegan corn dogs. Mm-hmm. But they also make like they make seitan that you can get frozen too, which is a really good option. Maybe a little less processed than like vegan chicken nuggets.
And then alternatively, you could just cook a vegan meal for everybody. It's not like you're allergic, most people, you're not allergic to tofu probably, unless you actually have a soy allergy. Everybody can just eat the tofu option.
I agree with this. It saves you time. It'll probably save you money. And then also your kid's going to feel a little bit more included. I know for me, really it would be like maybe once or twice a year, my mom would make a specifically vegetarian dinner that we'd all have to eat. It was usually on my birthday, but it was like my favorite day of the year because I was like, oh, we're all eating vegetarian food. This is like so great. Like I'm eating what everyone else is eating, which feels like you feel like a little more part of the family.
Yeah.
Because you kind of always feel a little bit like an outcast when you're always scrounging in the freezer for chicken nuggets or like you're eating something a little bit different than everyone. So you feel like, I don't know. Those were always my favorite days.
Yeah. And I think this could even start with something as simple as like the Meatless Mondays thing that people do. So you just, on Mondays, you guys have a vegan meal or a vegetarian meal, depending on your situation. I think that would make the kid feel a lot more supported because everybody's on board and it's not just like a little
side quest on their own.
That's annoying,
Yeah, I think Meatless Mondays are a good start if you're like an omnivore family and you're trying to support a vegan in your household.
Yeah. And then depending on the age of the kid, you can actually have them help you cook the food. So they can kind of make their own vegan option. You get a little free child labor.
Yeah, we love free child labor. It's great. Isn't that the reason you have kids?
It seemed like it might have been that way. It's like I started mowing the yard real young.
My dad called me the dishwasher when we didn't have a dishwasher. He said, we have a dishwasher, it's you.
So, yeah, if the kid is learning to cook with you, they're going to be better equipped to make vegan food for themselves. They won't have to bug you about it as much, and then they'll know exactly what they like, and then they can just make dinner.
Oh, I think so. They can make a meatless Monday meal for everybody.
Yeah.
But also, this is a really great point because it sets them up for success in real life because it is kind of hard to find vegan options, and they're going to have to know how to cook.
Cooking is definitely a necessary evil as a vegan.
Yeah, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah. And then, so the next thing for a takeaway here is if you're worried about the vegan food being more expensive, we kind of mentioned this before, but I'd recommend focusing on like the whole food plant-based ingredients when you make your vegan food and try to avoid buying like the packaged food or the meat alternatives, especially if you're worried about the cost. Try to avoid the meat alternatives and stuff like that because the whole foods ingredients are a lot cheaper. You have a protein database on the website that we'll link in the show notes, but basically you can sort by several things, but the one that's relevant to this section is like the cheapest protein source per like calorie and also per dollar.
Yep.
Right. So.
Yeah, it's grams of protein per dollar and like dollar per 100 calories. So either way, it'll find you some affordable options. It's
typically going to be around things like beans, lentils, tofu, TVP, vital wheat gluten, and peanut butter. So beans are like the MVP as far as cost effective.
And lentils.
Yeah, lentils.
They're crazy, especially the dried ones.
Yeah.
Which you can make a huge batch and then just have it for the week too. So.
Right. Dirt cheap, basically. Plan in advance when going to family gatherings. Talk to your kids, friends, parents, if they're like staying overnight or they're having some extended party or something like that, just to kind of get ahead of that.
Yeah. I think you as a parent should probably be having those conversations because like if you're a kid, I mean, unless you're like 16, 17 plus, it's probably going to be really hard for your kid to communicate that with their friends' parents because the only chain of communication of the parents is their friend.
Yeah.
And they're probably not going to be like, make sure your parents have food I can eat when I come over. So I think this is where like a parent-to-parent conversation is helpful, or like even a parent-to-teacher conversation if there's stuff going on at school and your kid's younger.
Yeah, definitely want to leverage those options. Again, that's like typical supporting of your kid.
Yeah, same with like family gatherings. Just you as a parent should probably prep your other more distant family members or whoever's house you're going over to, just to make sure they know there's some vegan options.
Yeah.
Planning in advance is always helpful.
Yep.
For everyone involved.
Also, you can find new restaurants that have vegan options. Again, we recommend using the app Happy Cow to find these, but maybe you make it a regular thing. Like once a month, you find a new restaurant you haven't been to yet that has a vegan option, or maybe even a fully vegan restaurant if you get lucky.
Yeah. I think when you're looking for these, try to look for options that are actually on the menu and look like they have enough calories, because you'll see a lot of like vegan options that are basically a side salad and french fries. Like try to find restaurants that have beans, tofu, lentils, some kind of a protein is the main source, the main ingredient for the dish.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever used the vegan filter on DoorDash, but it's listing every restaurant that serves water, so you end up in situations like that.
That's why we stand Happy Cow. Yeah. But I think, also picking restaurants that have legitimate vegan options will also make your kid feel more supported. They don't feel like they're just, there for the ride. Like you're actually taking them into account when you're picking places.
It also would help to try to learn why the kid wants to be a vegan and try to educate yourself a little bit to at least understand their point of view. Again, even if you don't end up agreeing with it, it would be helpful to learn a little more about why they might feel that way.
Yeah, I think it helps in being empathetic, like understanding where they're coming from. And then if you do understand where they're coming from, it makes them feel like less silly, and like they'll feel more supported. Plus, you might end up going vegan, I've seen people post about this on Reddit. Like their kid explained to me all this stuff and I eventually went vegan. Not saying you have to, but like, definitely understanding where someone's coming from is the best way to support them.
Yeah, there's definitely a big difference between understanding and still disagreeing versus like just being dismissive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, I would recommend you be open to eating new foods, incorporating new ingredients. That will also help the kid feel a lot more supported. Again, like tofu, maybe you never tried it. You've heard weird things about tofu, a lot of different ways, a lot of different types of tofu. So maybe trying something like that. Again, that's like super versatile. So if you can get one ingredient that you want to try, I'd recommend it be tofu. But there are a lot of other things you can try. Weird fruits, random vegetables that like they only use in Asia. I don't know. There's a lot of options out there for new things that you probably never come across normally.
And I think this is like a good rule of thumb if you're interacting with vegans in general, is like not even just trying new things, but like understanding what a legitimate food option is. Because I've argued with a lot of people that are like, you have a side salad, like, what's your problem? And it's like, have you ever tried living off of side salad? It's like you're hungry all the time. It's not enough calories. So I think also trying vegan foods kind of gives you some more context of like how filling foods are. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. And now for the bonus round, for if you're like friends or a family member, not a parent, or a coworker with somebody who's vegan, these are some of the kind of things you can do to support them if you're interested in like doing that or trying to go the extra mile and support this person.
Yeah, these are really only tips for people that are genuinely interested in supporting the vegan in your life, where I'm not demanding that you do these things if you interact with me.
Sure. Yeah. It's just if you're like, I recognize that person's vegan, I'd like to support them.
Yeah, and I actually see a lot of this on Reddit too. You'll have a lot of people coming into the vegan subreddit and being like, hey, my friend is vegan and they're staying at my house for the weekend. Like, what things can I do to make them feel welcome? Or like, what presents can I get them that are vegan? There's a lot of that kind of stuff going on in the vegan subreddit. So actually, if you have questions, the vegan subreddit's usually pretty good for getting answers.
Yeah. And this is also not to say like we as vegans demand support. It's more about like how to not make them feel super excluded.
Yeah. It's more about not feeling left out than it is, I want special treatment.
Right.
It's like, I want equal treatment, like equal consideration.
Yeah.
I guess,
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing that you would do if you had a gluten-free friend.
Right.
Like, I'm going to choose restaurants that have gluten-free options.
Exactly.
It's the same kind of thing.
Or they have a peanut allergy. You're not eating a bag of peanuts around them. Just that kind of thing.
I actively, I had a friend at work that had a peanut allergy, and I made sure I did not bring peanuts. Like, And she said, well, I did ask her at some point, and she said she wasn't that kind of peanut allergy where she can't be like within 10 feet of them. But yeah, I was like, that kind of stresses me out knowing she has a peanut allergy.
You just can't throw them directly in her mouth.
Yeah.
Okay. So some of the things you can do, make sure you choose restaurants that have good vegan options when you're going out. And good vegan options does not mean a bowl of lettuce.
Or French fries. You know, think tofu, think beans, lentils, seitan.
Beans are a pretty safe bet at a lot of places. If you see beans, you're probably in pretty good shape.
And we have some other podcasts that go over how to eat out at restaurants if you're interested in listening to those.
Yeah, definitely. If you're having some kind of gathering or like a potluck event, try to make sure there's at least 1 or 2 solid vegan dishes. And the good thing about these is usually for a potluck, there's some kind of sign-up form that's like, what is everybody bringing? So everybody can review the thing and make sure there's a couple vegetarian dishes. If you have a gluten-free person, there's a gluten-free dish, things like that. Just try to make sure everybody has food to eat at this thing everybody has to bring food to.
Honestly, my old boss was just the absolute best at this, and it made me feel like so welcomed. It almost made me cry. I felt so welcomed because he not only did he make sure to let everyone know, like, hey, we need vegan options, but there was also a Muslim person in our group, and they couldn't eat pork. So when he did the signups, he said, like, is this vegan? Does this have pork? And like made everyone fill out like yes or no or whatever. But it got people into thinking like, oh, you go back and you look at the entire list, there's not a single vegan option. That's really sad. Like that means someone's not going to be able to eat at this potluck. And because he did that, I swear to God, like half of the options were vegan, which meant me and the person who doesn't eat pork can eat all of them.
Right.
And it felt so great. I felt so seen. I felt it was very special because I dealt with a lot of stuff like at work and in general, where I like don't have any options. That's kind of fun because you get to taste new things that maybe you haven't tasted before.
Yeah.
But I've seen a few things on Threads recently, specifically around Thanksgiving, where vegans are saying like they went to a friend's giving and they didn't realize there weren't going to be any vegan options. They got there was nothing. And like, I can't think of how that would feel so bad. You would feel so sad and like such an outsider to go somewhere and there's not a single thing you can eat.
Especially a holiday that revolves around food. As somebody hosting that, I would feel pretty bad if somebody came to my Thanksgiving and couldn't eat any food.
That would be like us hosting something and every dish has peanuts and us inviting someone with a peanut allergy and they're like, sorry, all the dishes have peanuts.
And it might not sound fair, but it does not really go the same way the other direction. Like if we had a Thanksgiving, all the food would be vegan. So people might think, okay, well, you should serve meat. It doesn't really work that way because the people who are not vegan can still eat vegan food.
Yeah, right. Vegans, they can't eat meat. They're morally objected to meat the same way that people with religious beliefs maybe need to eat kosher or can't eat pork. Like these aren't lines we're willing to cross. Also, you have to take into consideration that some people have been vegan or vegetarian for so many years that even if they ate your meat dish, they would get really sick.
Yeah. I'm not aware, there might be one out there somewhere. I'm not aware of any moral or ethical guideline that says you must have animal products in everything you eat.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I feel like understanding where people are coming from really goes a long way because I think once you understand why people are making these life choices, you're going to support them a lot better because you just get it.
Yeah. It might also help to educate yourself about what vegans can or cannot buy. So you wouldn't get your vegan friend a leather bag for Christmas.
Right. And you wouldn't get them like candy that contains honey.
Right. Because that's going to make everybody sad when you give them a present and they say, I don't want this or I can't use this or like they take it and then they have to like donate it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a very weird situation.
It happens though.
Yeah.
I hate to bring up Reddit again, but I've seen posts like this. They're like, my grandma got me this leather bag for Christmas. Obviously, I don't want it. What do I do with this?
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah.
It's sad for everyone.
And then consider trying vegan things on your own from time to time, even if this vegan person isn't around. Maybe you just go try some tofu or you order out some Impossible Burger or something, just so you have an idea of what the food options are. And then maybe you'll realize that, most of the places around here only offer salads as an option, and a salad is not a meal.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about like a salad with a bunch of cheese and meat and whatever on it. We're talking about like the option is usually a bowl of lettuce and one vegan dressing.
Yeah, maybe a vinaigrette if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Or maybe they'll bring you out straight up vinegar, which happened to me once.
Oh my God.
And we called ahead of time and we're like, there are vegan options, right? And they're like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Come on down.
We've got you. Here's your vinegar and lettuce.
It was so funny because they served it in a little side cup. And I was like, that doesn't look like a vinaigrette. That looks like vinegar. And I dipped my finger in it. And it was straight up vinegar.
Well, that's a new one.
But yeah, you can also ask your vegan friends for recipes and ideas. I actually have a friend who has been cooking a lot more vegan stuff, and she'll like send me pictures of what she's cooking or send me links to recipes that she's been making. It makes me so happy. It's like a really fun way to bond.
Yeah. I found that a lot of people over time, they're initially bristle at the whole vegan thing, but then a lot of them end up trying something and then they like it. And then they're incorporating it more and more, like with the oat ice cream or like this friend with trying more vegan stuff sometimes. And I've had a couple of people who ask me for meat alternatives, try seitan, whatever. So over time, people realize like, oh, there are actually good vegan foods. Imagine that.
I know. I actually have a friend who... she had never really tried tofu, but I got her on the tofu bandwagon, and she eats tofu at least once a week. Like, she loves tofu now, and it makes me really happy.
Yeah.
And they're not vegan, but they're curious. They eat more vegan foods, the more we talk about it. So,
yeah. So I think those are some of the things you can do and incorporate directly into your life, maybe to help support a kid who's going vegan. If you have any stories about this or questions or anything, we'd love to hear about that. You can send us a text to the link in the show notes, our websites and social media. Feel free to reach out on any of those. We'd love to hear it. We also had a couple people who've been commenting on Spotify on the podcast. So that's actually a pretty cool way because I can comment back there directly.
And they're funny comments.
Yeah.
Whoever this person is,
man.
I love you. You're hilarious. We laughed for like 10 minutes.
Yes, Timmy the tutor from the last episode is now immortalized. And I think anytime I have to use an example kid's name, I'm going to be thinking of Timmy the tutor.
Which he did today, actually.
Yeah. Easter egg. So now let's move on to our myth of the week this week. So this is a little fitness oriented. And the myth is that your workout was only good if you end up getting really sore or you like feel like you're dying, basically.
Yeah.
So
that's true, right?
No, it's not true. You don't have to get sore after a workout. You'll tend to get more sore if it's like a new routine or maybe you hit a new record in a lift or something like that. Or maybe if you're just working out a little faster than you can recover.
Or you're just starting.
Yeah, definitely if you're just starting.
If you're just starting, you might be sore for a few months.
If you're just starting, you'll probably for the first couple months wonder why people do this to themselves.
Oh, yeah.
You'll be not able to walk upstairs.
You're not going to be able to walk.
So that's a little bit different situation. If you get sore, you probably had a pretty good workout. But if you didn't get sore, that does not mean it was a bad workout. Right. So I would not really focus on intentionally trying to make yourself sore. There's not much advantage there.
If anything, you should be intentionally focusing on how to make yourself less sore after you do a good workout, you know, like foam rolling and sauna.
Yeah, those things can reduce soreness a little bit, especially if it's like, I've been so sore some days where it's a problem. Like I can't really get up and down after doing a heavy set of squats or a new squat record, something like that. So definitely those are days you would want to
Can't wash your hair in the shower.
Oh man, yeah. You want to avoid some stuff like that. But yeah, so if you're not getting sore, but you're still making progress, like you lifted heavier than last time, or you did more reps than last time or last week or whatever, as long as you're still making progress, you're still doing what you should be doing. And I wouldn't necessarily set up like, I must be sore or my workout was bad. You might be tempted to take ibuprofen or something if you get sore. I wouldn't really recommend that. It's not a huge effect, but if you take ibuprofen kind of close to your workout, it can, so part of how your muscles grow is with the inflammation. So if you take an anti-inflammatory, it can potentially reduce the amount of muscle growth you're going to get from that exercise. Again, very, very small effect, but if you can avoid it, you don't want to waste some of the effort you had in the gym by taking this medicine that basically stunts the growth of the muscle a little bit.
What about turmeric? Because I know that's a big anti-inflammatory that people take.
I don't think that has quite like a medicinal impact, but I would probably avoid anything like that.
After?
Yeah, right after.
Okay.
Like, you can probably go like 3 hours later, 4 hours later.
Take turmeric at night.
Yeah, for sure. Just because you didn't get sore does not mean that you did not have a good workout. And then for food updates, you've been working on a pretty short little book. How many pages is the new Veganuary book for 2026?
It is 110 pages. It's all I've done all week. I think I spent like 60 hours. I haven't really done anything else other than like sleep. But once I get started on something, I have a really hard time doing other things. I just get like very goal oriented.
You're creeping up into Stephen King territory here with the length of the book.
What? A compliment. I love you, Stephen King. Yeah, I was up to like 11:30 last night finishing it because I just wanted it done out of my brain. So yeah, new Veganuary book that will be coming out soon. It's got 40 recipes with some, breakfast, lunch, dinner, desserts and snacks. And then it also has some sample meal plans, like a week each for 1,500 calories, 2,000, 2,500, and 3,000 calories. And then there's also a lot of like tips and tricks and resource type stuff.
A boatload of information for people who are trying to go vegan, which is what Veganuary is all about. It's the month of January. There's a whole movement to get people to try the vegan diet, basically, or even veganism. But, again, focuses on the diet a lot.
Yep. And I also put together an ebook that is for high protein holiday recipes. So we'll be putting that on the site pretty soon too. So maybe you can pull some of the recipes off of that to make for your vegan kids.
Yeah. Or to take to your family holiday gatherings.
Yeah, exactly.
Say, hey, look, tofu's not terrible.
It's not terrible, especially silken tofu. You won't even know what's in there.
And I got news for you. A lot of them, even if they like it, they're going to pretend they don't. So
they are.
They're going to be like, oh, this is awful. And then they're going to be home Googling, how do I eat more tofu?
I can't let them know I like it.
Yeah, so I think that's about it. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast if you're not already. Please leave us a review on either Spotify or Apple Podcasts. That helps us a lot.
And we read all comments, and we get good giggles. So
yeah. Also, we have a new Discord server if you're into that kind of thing. If you don't know what Discord is, it's basically like a community chat app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like not really social media, more like a big group DM.
Yeah. Big group chat thing.
It's nice though. You get a lot of one-on-one interactions. You can ask questions in it.
Yeah. So we'll have a link to that in the show notes as well.
Please subscribe.
Yeah.
Join it.
Join up.
Join it. We're there and there's no one but us.
Join up and talk shit.
You could be our third party. You could be our third person.
It is new for the record.
It's only been out for not very long. We're losers, but we're not that big of losers. We haven't really told anyone about it.
We can definitely get one other person to join.
Please be our third person. We want to talk to you in Discord.
All right. Also, if you have any questions, food requests, feedback on the episode, the podcast, whatever comes to your mind, your favorite color shoestrings, I don't know.
Your second favorite dinosaur?
Oh, yeah. There you go. That's a good one. Yeah, feel free to reach out to us, and we're happy to hear from you. I think that's about it. Do you want to say bye?
Bye.
Bye, everybody.